Hello and welcome back everyone to the Powder Toy, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Normally I show you how to melt things down. Today I'm going to show you how to keep something stable, but not your sanity, just a nuclear reactor. I've been playing a little bit with the Powder Toy and I've been learning how to do less destructive things, and I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of a mini tutorial on how to build one type of a stable reactor. There's many ways to build a stable reactor in the Powder Toy, but I'm going to show you one way that's worked really well for me. So first, we're going to make the reactor chamber. This chamber is going to be really simple. It's going to have a clone that's going to create deuterium, which is what we're actually going to be reacting. Boom, we have our deuterium. I'm actually going to make a little bit less because I don't think we even need that much. We just really need one good layer. Actually, clone. Alright, so we've got our deuterium, which is going to be made down here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to poke a hole in this. Just a very small hole, one pixel thick, just to let a tiny bit in, and a tiny bit of what you may say. Well, if you are familiar with how nuclear reactions work, we are going to need neutrons, a source of neutrons. So what we are going to do is we're going to get another clone, this time a powered clone, so that we can turn on and off the reaction. And we are also going to set this to neutrons. You'll notice when I play that no neutrons are being made. This is because it's off. Now, let's get into the fun part. We're going to go ahead and carve out a little hole on both sides like this, and we're going to line it with insulation. And then we are going to go ahead and we're going to get P-silicon to turn it on and N-silicon to turn it off. There's going to be a gap of 1 pixel between it and what it's going to activate. That's fine. Then we're going to take titanium as wires and pull those wires out. Now this insulation here is going to make sure that we don't have any leakage of current. And as you can see, if I spark this, it begins making... Oh, interesting. It actually jumped a little bit. So a little bit more insulation on this line. A little bit more insulation. So that the spark doesn't jump diagonally. Alright, but now I can hit this, it sparks, and as you can see, it's turned on the neutron emitter, and now if we spark the other side, it turns it off. It is interesting how that is powering everything though. I'm just going to add a little bit more insulation to prevent that from happening, because we don't want that to happen. So we're going to have a lot of sensitive electronics that we do not want to get messed with. There we go, on, off. So now we can turn on and off this reaction chamber, which is great. Let's now think about how we could keep something from melting down. The simple way to do this is if the temperature gets high, turn it off. Let's go ahead and get a metal bar here, which is actually going to carry heat off of the reactor so that that heat can actually be used for something productive. It's going to be kind of thick because we want to carry quite a bit of heat out from this. Now, close to the actual reaction, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a little quartz box. It's going to be quartz so that we don't get any leakage of electricity out of it. We only want it to spark in one direction. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a temperature sensor in here. Right here, temperature sensor. And I'm actually going to put that a little bit deep into here. So the idea is this temperature sensor will let out a spark if it has a temperature near it that is... See how that leaked? I knew that was going to happen. There we go. It'll only spark if its temperature is lower than the temperature of the things around it. So let's go ahead and heat it up to... I'm going to heat it up to about 400 degrees, which means it'll spark if it gets over 400 degrees. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this wire around to the off trigger. So the astute among you probably can figure out what this is going to do. When this hits 400 degrees, it's going to trigger it to shut off. All right, let's see if it works. Let's turn on this reactor. let it react a little bit. And did you see that? It turned itself off after a little bit of reacting happened. Boom. Boom. The issue is, though, that it very quickly heats up, and then it hits that 400 degrees, and it shuts off, and then you have to manually turn it back on, which is really inconvenient. You know, you don't want a reactor that you have to constantly turn back on. So here's where my slightly original solution is to this, which is that we are going to actually have 2 cables come out of here. It's going to first hit the off button, but it's also going to hit a delay. So this delay is going to do something pretty cool. This delay is going to wait a few seconds, and then it's going to trigger it back on. So the idea is, if you shut the reactor off, it always has a command to turn back on that's going to shoot out a few seconds later. So let's go ahead and set that to like 124. We'll see how long that is. It will take a little bit of calibrating. Oh, you have to use the P silicon and the N silicon to do this shenanigans. All right, there we go. So we get the off trigger, which turned it off, but then after a second, it turns it back on. You see that? This metal bar here is consistently over 100 degrees Celsius. Oh, it actually overmelted. It went a little bit too far that time. So let's go ahead and make some modifications to ensure that it doesn't melt down. Reducing the amount of deuterium is one easy way. Let's see if that works. We just have to make sure there isn't enough deuterium in the system to immediately destroy the whole thing if perfect reaction occurs, because sometimes all of the deuterium reacts at once, and it does quite a bit of heat. But what's also going to help is actually creating steam with this. Remember, this is a reactor, so the entire point is to create steam to drive a turbine. So just to show that this is creating consistent and reliable power, we're going to put some clone here with water, and let's see what happens. This is going to cool down the reaction chamber, which means that it's actually going to trigger to turn back on more quickly, and we should get a very stable situation. I'm just going to very carefully build a thing. Oh, that's water. I'm going to build a thing so that this water doesn't fall back onto the system. Build a little shroud over it. There we go. All right. So now we've got a beautiful, beautiful reactor here, which is going to turn on, react to the deuterium to create heat. Once it gets too toasty, it's going to turn itself off, and it's just going to repeat that forever. This is the basis of building yourself a stable reactor. It really is. If you can basically, there's different ways to control this. You can make buttons that force it on or force it off. You can make a button that turns on or off the deuterium. You can make a button that turns on or off the water supply. But this here is enough to get you started with a stable reactor, and I think that's very exciting. We were able to do this in under 10 minutes. What other game allows you to make an awesome little nuclear reactor in under 10 minutes? That's next level. And look, it's not melting down. It's not doing any funny business. It's very, very balanced. And this was actually first try on this video. Oh, right when I say that it melts down a little bit. Okay. Maybe it requires slight amounts of additional fail-safes and just a little bit more tweaking to make it perfectly stable, but you guys have a good basis now to build off of. So thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more. I'm going to name this. Let me know what you want to see next on Valor. Valor.gg. There you go. Peace out.